Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's story. In this episode, we follow Alex, once a confident businessman with a thriving company, now standing at rock bottom. After a devastating scam wipes out his fortune, Alex is forced to confront the ruins of everything he's built. With nowhere else to go, he shows up at Tuna's small countryside farm, hoping only for a place to stay for a while. But as city lights fade and the sound of crickets replaces office noise, Alex begins to rediscover something far more important than wealth. Stay until the end, because what happens on that farm isn't just a fall from success. It's a quiet rebirth. And don't forget to subscribe to help us reach 500 subscribers. Your support truly means the world to us. The fluorescent lights hum above a mess of papers and empty coffee cups. The office smells of cold caffeine and stale air, the kind of scent that clings to failure. Alex slouches in his chair, tie loosened, eyes red from nights without sleep. The phone on the desk doesn't stop buzzing, but he stares through it, mind blank, fingers twitching against a pen that's long since run dry. Any update on the scam case? He finally asks, voice low but tense. His employee stands nervously at the door, clutching a folder like a shield. No progress yet, sir. The detectives only have a few photos and a phone number. Son hasn't shown up anywhere. Alex exhales sharply, pinching the bridge of his nose. And the company's capital? Almost gone, she says quietly. After the storm damage and the scam last quarter, we've had to pay back the farmers their grapefruit fees. If we pay the rest now, we'll have no rotation capital left. There's a heavy pause. Outside, the wind howls faintly through cracked windows. Pay them all, Alex says finally. They trusted us. We'll start again. The employee's eyes widen, then nods, biting her lip. Yes, sir. I'll calculate what's left after that. Good. And Ms. Mai, she's supervising the warehouse for Mr. Min's shipment, right? Make sure she double checks the customer info. She's still new. Guide her properly. The woman nods and hurries off. The office door closes, leaving Alex alone with the hum of failure pressing down on his chest. He leans back in his chair, staring at the ceiling's cracks, the air thick with the scent of defeat. His mind spirals. The company gutted by storms, drained by fraud, now barely breathing. There's only one option left: borrow money. John. He'll understand. At least Alex hopes so. He grabs his phone, thumb hovering over the contact list for a moment before pressing call. John, it's me. Can we meet? I need to talk. Work-related. A short pause. Half an hour. Same cafe. Alex hangs up, shoulders slumping. The call feels heavier than any business deal he's ever made. Not because of the money, but because it's the first time he's had to ask for help. For a man once confident enough to sign million-dollar contracts without blinking, the act of borrowing feels like tearing off his own pride. He glances around his office. The wilted plant, the peeling paint, the cracked glass of his family photo. His reflection stares back from the window, tired, defeated, a stranger in his own success story. Outside, the city buzzes, uncaring. Under the blazing sun, the grapefruit garden hums with the sound of cicadas. Mr. Min stands near a truck, shadows of leaves dancing over his face. Beside him, Ms. Mai, Young, polite, her voice low but her eyes sharp, leans in. Last time went well, Min whispers, sliding a thick envelope into her hand. My boss was pleased. Let's keep this between us, yeah? Next shipment, bigger cut. Mai's lips curl into a smile. Understood. You'll get the same service. Unseen behind the trees, one of Alex's longtime employees watches them, suspicion burning like acid in his gut. Something about their easy laughter feels wrong. He watches Min's truck pull away, the dust cloud curling through sunlight. Mai stays behind, overseeing workers loading crates. Careful with that side, she says briskly, adjusting the papers. If this batch breaks, it's on me. When the employee steps out from the shadows and greets her, she startles, too quick to hide the envelope. Oh, it's just work talk, she says, forcing a casual smile. But the seed of doubt has already taken root. Later that day, the employee quietly calls Alex, voice trembling. Sir, something's off about Ms. Mai. I saw her meeting with Min again, privately. Alex stiffens. Are you sure? I think she's passing shipment info. Alex's heart sinks. Another betrayal from inside his own team. Keep an eye. Don't let her notice. The employee agrees. The call ends. Alex stares at the wall, fists tightening. Trust, the one thing his company was built on, keeps breaking apart piece by piece. First the scammers, then the flood. Now, the betrayal within. It feels like standing in a garden full of ripe fruit, only to realize the roots have already rotted underground. Evening settles softly on Tuna's small farmhouse. The scent of fresh corn fills the air, steam curling through the dim kitchen. Tuna hangs the corn cobs one by one under the eaves, her movements slow but content. When Alex steps in, sleeves rolled, she smiles faintly. You're back early. He doesn't answer right away, just takes a string of corn from her hands. Let me do that. You've worked all day already. Their hands brush briefly. For a second, neither speaks. The silence feels warm, like the low hum of a distant song. Tuna glances toward the wooden table. The new chairs look nice, she says softly. You didn't have to buy them. They were on sale, he lies with a small grin. And the old ones were falling apart? Still, thank you. Henry's still at Mrs. Tang's? She nods. He'll be waiting. You should rest. You look tired. I'll drive you to pick him up, he insists. It's fine. Her expression softens. How's work? Any news about the scammer? He shakes his head. Nothing yet. The detectives are still searching. I had to borrow some money from John. Just enough to pay the farmers and keep things afloat. Tuna's voice falters. You shouldn't have to go through this alone. Alex forces a small smile, his hand reaching to squeeze her shoulder. Having you here is enough. I'll figure out the rest. Her heart tightens. She knows how much pride those words cost him. Later, as the sky turns orange, they walk down the dirt road toward the village. The air smells of wet earth and wood smoke. Crickets begin to sing in the grass. Let's hurry, Alex says gently. It'll be dark soon. Tuna laughs quietly. You sound like an old man already. He chuckles, the sound rare but genuine. Maybe I am. They walk side by side, hands brushing now and then, saying little. The silence between them feels full. of unspoken things, of shared burdens, of the faint pulse of something that might be hope. Tuna glances at him, remembering the night a stranger threatened their peace, remembering how close she came to losing this calm. She keeps it hidden, not wanting to add to his worries. Alex, meanwhile, thinks of John's promise, a temporary loan, a fragile lifeline. For now, it's enough. The village road dips into shadow, the last sunlight fading behind the hills. Somewhere ahead, Henry's laughter echoes faintly from Mrs. Tang's yard, and for a brief, precious moment, the world feels right again. The fatigue, the loss, the shame, they all fall away under that sound. Alex looks at Tuna, and she smiles back, quietly, knowingly. He may have lost his fortune, but standing here, in the cool dusk beside her, he realizes he's found something harder to earn and impossible to fake, something that might just save him. Night folds gently over the village. The small farmhouse glows faintly under the moon, the air rich with the scent of roasted corn and burning firewood. Inside, Tuna sets down a pot of porridge on the wooden table while Henry excitedly holds up his toy truck. "Uncle Alex, look." "Mrs. Tang gave me this." Alex smiles, eyes softening. "That's a fine truck. Maybe one day you'll drive a real one for your own business, huh?" Henry beams, but Tuna notices the flicker of sadness behind Alex's words. The man who once owned fleets of trucks now counts each coin before buying a loaf of bread. "Eat something," she urges, sliding him a bowl. "You haven't eaten all day." He nods, taking a sip. The warmth spreads through his body, like a quiet reminder that he's still alive, still fighting. The room hums with simple sounds. The crackle of fire, the chirp of crickets, Henry's laughter echoing against the old wooden walls. For a moment, it feels like a home. Fragile, borrowed, but real. Later, when Henry finally falls asleep, Tuna steps outside with a thin blanket over her shoulders. Alex follows, standing beside her on the porch. The moonlight spills across the field, silvering the corn and bamboo. "Do you regret coming here?" she asks softly. Alex shakes his head. "Regret? No. If anything, I regret not appreciating what peace felt like before." She looks at him, her eyes catching the moonlight. "You used to have everything. Cars, suits, that big office in the city. Now you're sleeping in my spare room, living off boiled corn and porridge. Doesn't it feel strange?" He chuckles quietly, a sound both tired and honest. "At first, yes. Now, it feels grounding, like I'm finally touching real soil again." "Maybe this was fate's way of slowing you down," she murmurs. "Sometimes we lose what's heavy so we can hold what's true." Alex doesn't answer right away. He just watches her, the wind teasing loose strands of her hair, the reflection of firelight dancing in her eyes. Somewhere in that calm, something unspoken passes between them. Not romance yet, but recognition. Two souls bruised by life, learning to breathe again. The next morning, the rooster crows long before dawn. Tuna is already awake, kneading dough in the dim kitchen. The sound of water running in the basin mixes with the soft thud of her palms pressing flour. Alex, still half asleep, steps in and leans against the doorway. "You always wake this early?" She glances over her shoulder, smiling faintly. Farm doesn't wait. If I sleep too long, the sun will steal the freshness from the leaves. He grins. I'm not used to this country rhythm yet. Then you'll learn, she says, handing him a small lump of dough. Come on, help me roll these. Don't think you can just stay here and not work. He laughs, sitting beside her at the counter. The dough sticks to his fingers, his clumsy attempts drawing her laughter. The sound lightens the air, dissolving the weight that's been sitting on his chest for weeks. You're terrible at this, she teases. I was a businessman, not a baker. Well, now you're both. The warmth between them grows in those small, ordinary gestures. Laughter shared over messy flour, hands brushing, the intimacy of working side by side. By noon, the sun blazes over the fields. Alex follows Tuna out back, carrying a bucket of feed for the chickens. The once sharp city man now stands barefoot in the dirt, shirt damp with sweat. He looks around. The green ridges, the sound of bamboo rustling, the smell of soil. It's all so different from the boardrooms and suits. Yet somehow, it feels like healing. Tuna notices the distant look in his eyes. What are you thinking about? He wipes his forehead, just wondering how I let it all slip away. You didn't let it slip, she replies gently. People deceived you. That's not your fault. He shakes his head. Maybe not, but it's still my responsibility. She stops, turning to face him. You paid everyone back, didn't you? You did what an honest man would do. That's more than most. Alex exhales, shoulders dropping. You really believe I can start again? I don't just believe, she says. I know. Her voice carries the kind of quiet certainty that cuts through despair like dawn after a storm. That afternoon, as they finish feeding the animals, an unfamiliar motorbike pulls into the yard. Dust swirls around the figure dismounting. It's Min, dressed sharply, sunglasses glinting. Tuna frowns. Who's that? Alex's expression hardens. An old supplier. Min walks up with a grin too wide to trust. Alex, you look different. Rustic life suits you. Alex crosses his arms. What are you doing here? Just checking in, Min says smoothly. Heard your company's gone under. Shame, really. You had potential. The words drip with mock sympathy. Why are you really here? Alex asks, voice flat. Min smirks. Let's say I came to make a deal. I know someone interested in buying your leftover assets. You'd get cash fast, enough to rebuild, maybe even return to the city. Alex's jaw tightens. And what's your cut? Min laughs. Oh, come on, Alex. You always were suspicious. But think about it. Do you really want to rot here, planting corn with your new friend? Tuna stiffens. The air thickens with tension. Alex steps closer, his calm tone carrying an edge. If you think I'm desperate enough to trust you again, you've forgotten who you're talking to. Min shrugs, unfazed. Suit yourself. Just remember, the world doesn't wait for the fallen. He flicks his cigarette to the ground and walks back to his bike. As the engine fades into the distance, Alex exhales, fists clenched. Tuna quietly places a hand on his arm. You did the right thing. He looks at her, and for the first time in days, there's clarity in his eyes. No, this time, I won't let anyone use me again. That night, the two sit outside under the stars, a kettle whistling softly behind them. The wind carries the scent of grass and distant rain. Do you ever think about starting over? Tuna asks. I think about it every second, Alex admits. But it's not just about money anymore. I want to build something honest this time. Something that can't be bought or stolen. She smiles, turning toward him. Then maybe it starts here. He follows her gaze across the small field, the faint outline of corn rows swaying in the moonlight. Here? He says, half amused. Here, she repeats. You've got 2 hands, a brain, and more heart than you admit. That's enough. The quiet confidence in her tone makes him laugh softly. You make it sound simple. It is, she says. You just forgot how to live simply. For a long moment, neither speaks. The stars shimmer above, endless and patient. Alex finally nods. Then tomorrow, we start again.